everyone.
Hi.
Okay. How are we doing this? Have we settled on the title yet?
No. So title brainstorming session number 12.
Hello everyone, welcome to AnYi and Stories. This is our special program featuring my friend Daisy.
Hello. I am Daisy. I don't know what to say here.
Okay, well, stick with your code name.
Okay.
So this is going to be our special program where we review our Scribendi 30-day writing challenge. I think my absolute favourite, I say that this is my favourite not because of the prompt, but more because I'm really satisfied with the piece I produced. So I think it was let me just check. It's day 27. Tell the story of a man who lives in a motel. So that's my favourite because I'm really satisfied with the story that I wrote. It's basically about friendship, I guess. So it's about these two people living in really difficult circumstances, and from the perspective of a prostitute. And through her eyes, we get to see this young man who lives in a motel for not that obvious reasons, but then the reasons will be revealed at the end of the story. Yay. And I'm just really proud of that piece.
Are there any other ones which you especially enjoyed, whether it be because of your piece or just the prompt itself?
One thing I really liked is the prompts. They kind of asked us to make a protagonist out of various elements, but we have to write quite a few pieces about that specific protagonist. Although it felt really weird to just create a protagonist out of, say, like face and room of person A in your life, and like hair and other things of person B. But I grew really attached to my protagonist, and I gave her a lot of interesting stories, and now like she's in my mind a real person, and she has a lot of backstories. So again, if I figure out how to link things in videos, you might be able to find links to my website where you can see the relevant posts and stories that we've talked about in this episode. And what about you?
Favourite or just general good ones?
General good ones or favourite, like positive ones?
So there was one which I found especially interesting, which was day 7. Spoil the ending of your favourite movie without any context. At first I had, obviously I knew the movie straight away. I am much more decisive about what is my favourite movie than my partner. But how to write this, it took me a while to come up with a way of getting across what actually happened without just saying it, because in my mind that was the context. So then I settled on this bizarre character which never came up again, which was very, how would you describe her? Like flighty, I guess?
Yeah, I guess flighty.
Yeah, like her monologue was just sort of dancing around the truth because she quite clearly didn't understand it, and was just like relaying what happened through her eyes. And that one I found very interesting, like the prompt itself, and also how the thought process behind making that work. So that one I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, and I especially enjoyed reading that one as well, because I can definitely see people talking like that. I've definitely known people in my life who talk about like their favourite books or movies in that way, when you just get completely blank, what the hell is this about? But they think they're telling a pretty clear story. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was really well done. I'm not that difficult on deciding my favourite.
Liar.
Okay, when it comes to making decisions such as pick your favourite movie or favourite song or like favourite something, which actually comes up quite a lot in these prompts. I find that difficult because I just like a lot of things.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I said. You're just not very good at deciding what your favourite is.
But I don't know. I'm
anyway.
good with other decisions.
Yeah, that's... Anyway, moving on. Moving on. I'm not certain, but scrolling down the list now, I think my favourite was Day 16, which was the last thing you touched, other than the keyboard, mouse, blah, 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 is trying to kill your protagonist. Explain why.
That one.
And while I didn't exactly fulfill that prompt, well, I kind of did, but it was almost a minor detail that they wanted to kill the protagonist. For me, it was so enjoyable to delve into the mind of... Should I tell them what it was, or just...
Let's tell the audience what the story is actually about.
Yeah, so, like, at the time, I was sat on my duvet. So I was like, cool, I guess they're being killed by a duvet. And it felt really almost entertaining to try and put my mind into that of an inanimate object. Moreover, a soft and comforting one, and give them a reason for why they might be angry at a person. So I had to consider, like, what a duvet wants, what memories a duvet would treasure, etc., etc. And realistically, I kind of went down the Toy Story route of it wants to be used, it wants its purpose to be fulfilled, it wants to cover a person while they sleep, it wants to be cuddled, etc., etc. And then when that was taken away, they were, of course, upset by that. And then when they were further betrayed, they got more angry. And like I say, that was just sort of stuck on the end. But the main part for me was just describing the duvet's life, and that was really enjoyable.
Yeah. I really liked reading that one because it just felt really... how do I describe this? Like, I'm usually a very cold-hearted person when it comes to reading and watching things, but that felt moving. Like, I just felt so sad for that poor duvet. So that was well done. I think that was definitely one of my favourite of your pieces. So, that and the one when Adam first appears.
Yeah, I was just looking at that one.
Tell them about
the
Adam.
Cliche. Well, actually, I think you liked Adam perhaps more than I did. So if you would like to describe Adam, I think that would probably do him favours.
Yeah, so basically we came to this prompt, day 22. Find a cliche you absolutely hate, rewrite it while keeping the intended meaning intact. I think we had a long discussion before writing this, because, again, I couldn't decide on the cliche that I hated. And then Adam appeared, this really adorable, clumsy, magical young person that kind of reminds me of a lot of Merlin fan fictions that I've read, which also feature like modern society with magic and a clumsy, adorable Merlin. So naturally, being a Merlin fan, I like Adam. And then, so that piece with the cliche. What was your cliche again?
So my immediate thought was that sort of, I know a thing that I should tell you, but I'm just not going to. I'm going to wait until it will cause maximum destruction in our lives, and only then tell you for some stupid reason. That was my original thought, but in the end I couldn't quite work out how to get that into a single piece. So what I went for instead was, we're super mad at each other, so we're going to have a fight now, and then after that, we'll just be cool.
Okay.
We're friends again.
Yeah, I felt we have very different definitions of cliches, but like that, the piece itself is really well done, and I loved Adam. But then he's done something really cruel to Adam in the end. Do you want to tell that story and how you broke Adam's heart and mine?
Like, broke his heart is a stretch. It was a
broke my
fling. So, day 30, I found much more difficult. A recurring theme I found with my pieces in this challenge was that I do a lot of setup, and then the ending is just like a blink and you'll miss it thing. So, with day 30 being finish a story with the line, nothing ever felt easier to say, I found it very difficult to intentionally steer towards a culmination that would allow me to do that. So once again, I sort of delved into my setup thing. I was like, this scene, these characters, etc., little nods here and there to previous times Adam's come up. And then I was like, okay, this needs some drama now. So I introduced this new character of Ryan, which is some significant other to Adam. And then he just, like, they had an argument where both sides were understandable, I felt. I mean, I obviously had a preference towards which was right, but I won't tell you what to think. You think what you want. And then Ryan sort of went off the hinges and, like, properly screwed Adam over in front of his entire family. Hence the anger, hence screaming, hence nothing ever felt easier to say.
Yeah. And then broke my heart as a reader, because I loved Adam, and I was like, why are you doing this to my favourite character?
Well, stories are conflict. Adam needed some.
I mean, although I do agree that conflict and drama are very much needed in stories, but I will say I demand a sequel to this. Well, the links will be out, so go read that story, and also leave comments and demand a happier sequel. If you care about Adam and his well-being, he deserves love.
Moving on from Adam, I feel like there's been a lot of me, so I'm going to swing this back to you. Was there any prompts that you found especially interesting?
There are actually quite a few good ones. This part is going out of editing because I just scroll.
2,000 years later.
One of the ones that I found really interesting is, I think it's one that you hated a lot. It's day 24. Put your favourite poem through a translator into a different language and then back again. Do this until the poem is no longer recognisable. Rewrite it and turn into lyrics for a song. So that one I actually found really enjoyable. Even though probably nobody will actually recognise that poem which I based the lyrics on. So to any of my Chinese audience out there, the poem is 定风波 by Su Shi, and then I just put it into various translators. Well, until it became sort of not completely like different, but it was definitely not the poem anymore. And then I kind of wrote lyrics for a song out of it, based on the original song called 处处吻. So I found it really fun because it was a really enjoyable experience. But Daisy hated it.
I was not a fan. Let's say that much.
Yeah.
Should I go into that now or leave it for the next one?
We'll leave it for the next one.
Okay.
Again, I loved all the prompts where my protagonist Mingru gets to come up quite a lot. I actually really like the very first prompt. I find it really interesting. It asks us to take the audience through a written walk down your street and to your favourite place through the eyes of somebody else. And then my mind just went back to my home.
Carry on.
What?
No, it's the way you describe that.
What?
Like, well, for a start, home.
Is that not a way of saying it?
No, I get that, but it's, I don't know. And also, the fact that you did it in inverted commas made me laugh, I think.
Okay, so...
But carry on.
That prompt made me think about, well, the place where I live back in China. And I haven't been to that street for a while. Obviously, I know the street really, really well, but I've never actually thought about how other people would see that street. So my piece was actually just based on one of my neighbours whom I really disliked as a kid. This pompous middle-aged man who thinks he's better than anyone else, and then he really likes preaching to people, including young children. So I wrote that prompt based on what I believe he would perceive, I guess, about the things that come up in the street. and that was interesting. That was fun. Are there any one of my pieces that you find particularly enjoyable or like just shocking? Another constant thing that comes up during the challenge is I constantly felt that I needed to relearn English. As you can probably tell from the podcast, that I don't really know how to talk anymore.
One thing I thought you did very well, far better than me, was Day 13. I thought this was a good prompt, but I just couldn't find a way to exaggerate it the way you could, like...
So do you want to tell what Day 13 was?
Day 13 was, think of the worst pain you've ever felt. Now give your protagonist a paper cut and over-exaggerate the pain using your own descriptions. For the life of me, I can't actually remember what it is you did that made it so effective. But unlike mine, where it was quite clearly like made up, it felt like Minru actually felt her pain. And felt the sickness that it brought, and etc. etc. Yeah, that's true. I could read it right now.
That's what computers are for.
This is true. I mean, it's absolutely not. Computers are for a lot of things. Writing is just one of them.
That's basically what I use my computers for, like just writing, well, university work, and my own writing. Mm-hmm. Oh, and now editing, since we're making this podcast.
Yeah, I think, actually, just this paragraph here, I'm not going to read this out, I'm just going to say, the first, like, big paragraph, no, even then, the third paragraph, for want of a better word, in the version 1 of this prompt, where it's not Minru describing it, it's somebody witnessing the effect it's having on that character, makes it real, because it's not... Actually, yeah, makes it real is the best way that can be described, because it's quite clearly the symptoms are there, and the symptoms can only be caused if you're feeling that pain. So I think that was the crux of what made your version of that so good.
Thank you. I think we both found it difficult because neither of us could decide on like the worst pain. Probably just because we've been too safe in our lives. So maybe we should just
This one did take me a while, but right before starting writing, I did remember. Well, I remembered the event that was the worst pain in my life, but I couldn't remember the pain itself. I think that's something that, as a race, we tend to forget.
Yeah. Maybe this is not an advice for anyone who wants to do this challenge and the specific prompt, but maybe in some distant alternate universe, you might just want to try, like, beating each other on the head for... to build that experience.
Maybe let's not. On the other hand, you could, like, next time you come up against something that's incredibly painful, write about how it feels, and then in the future, you can look back on that piece of writing and then go, okay, so that's how that felt. Now, how can I transform this into this paper cut?
Yeah. Well, don't fight each other, children, if there are children listening to this. And generally, we don't wish pain on you. So stay healthy, everyone.
Okay. I agree. Bye, I guess.
I don't know why I'm waving at the microphone, but yeah, I do love music.
It just feels super weird. The conversation with you is fine because you're here and I know what I'm supposed to... Well,
Talking with you is something that I know how to do. Talking with a disembodied person, of which I am not the main target, seems different.
Well, welcome to my life. The practice of talking to trees. So years.
Yeah, but at least you're the main target of the tree's attention. The first humans talk to them all the time.
I don't know. I don't really get talked back to. So